What's happening, story makers? Welcome to the next lesson in the Children's Book Council Make Your Own Storybook competition. Now, this is the second part of the storybook conflict lesson. So, the last time we were together, we spoke about how to write a conflict for a story where you have like the major part of the conflict that sets everything into motion, and then a partial resolution where your character thinks they've solved their problem, but they really haven't. And then this lesson is all about doing this second part of that conflict. Now, just to refresh your memory, with the story that I've been writing, I am writing a story about Charles with Oinkington, a gentle warthog who does not like to play in mud. Unfortunately, he was absolutely covered in mud in the last session. And he got really mad and he stomped off into the African bushveld to find more sophisticated associates. So I wrote that all out last time. This time I'm gonna write the second part of the conflict. So yeah, guys, and again, if you just want one part of your conflict, that's absolutely fine too. You know, keep it simple, keep it easy. The reason for having two parts of the conflict is and having partial resolutions is to sort of keep your reader guessing. You don't know when the problems are going to be solved, and you also get to see more of the characters' development. You get to know them a little bit better, so it just makes for more interesting story making. But like I said, totally up to you. Right, I'm going to go to my desk now and I'm going to write the second part of my conflict.
Okay, I'm ready to continue my conflict now. Now, the last time I did this, I worked by creating a problem for my character, and then I gave a partial solution to that problem. This time, in the second part of the conflict, this is where the problem gets much worse. So if you can remember Story Mountain, this is going to be the very, very peak of Story Mountain. So this is where it all sort of comes to a head. I'm going to do the usual stuff, show, don't tell. Going to make sure I write with my senses. All right, let's do this. Okay, I've finished the second part of the conflict where Charlie's problems just get worse. So, this is when Charlie finally meets the snobby flamingos. Charlie made his way over to the flock of fabulous flamingos standing in the center of the lake. He stuck out a trotter and addressed the head bird. "Cheerio, good sir. Charles with Oinkington, at your service." Well, the flamingos were flummoxed. They'd never had another animal approach them in this manner before, especially not one known to roll about in mud. The head bird stared at Charlie's outstretched trotter but made no move to shake it. "And, what is it that we can do for you, little warthog?" Charlie lowered his trotter. "Why, I've come to join the flock, of course." The flamingos stared for a moment. Then they burst into fits of raucous laughter. "Ho, ho, ho! That truly is an excellent joke, little hog," the head bird said. Charlie felt himself grow hot under the collar. "It's not a joke," he said, a little more irritably than he meant to. "I'm a refined, sophisticated creature, just like all of you." The head flamingo stared at Charlie, and a not particularly nice smile slowly spread across his beak. He tipped a sly wink to one of the other flamingos. "Why, my dear sophisticated hog, I had no idea you felt so strongly about it," said the head bird. "To join our flock, you can't go about on two legs like a common beast." "Oh," Charlie said, "I thought to join, you must learn to stand on a single leg as we do." Because, of course, flamingos stand on one leg sometimes when they're in the water. Well, Charlie had his work cut out for him. He tried and tried and tried to balance on one leg. He fell a lot. But after a few days of hard work, he finally managed it. "Woohoo!" Charlie whooped in joy. The flamingos didn't appreciate it. "Warthog, sophisticated creatures do not whoop and woohoo like that." "Sorry," Charlie said, his eyes downturned. Charlie found that even though he learned to stand on one leg, none of the flamingos wanted to speak to him. They didn't share his interests either. They didn't appreciate poetry, English breakfast tea, and they thought bird watching was an extremely creepy hobby. Charlesworth Oinkington had never felt more alone. Now, let's have a look. Have I made the problem worse? I have. So, first Charlie was just covered in mud, but now he is feeling so alone and alienated with these new snobby creatures. So, I can highlight that off. That's all sorted. Show don't tell. Well, I have spoken about how Charlie stuck out his trotter and the flamingo didn't want to shake it. That implies that the flamingo's a bit snobby and he thinks that he's a bit above Charlie and doesn't even want to shake his trotter when it's offered. So yes, I have done a bit of show don't tell. I've also said that Charlie got a little bit hot under the collar to show that he was embarrassed. I didn't have to say he was embarrassed or annoyed or frustrated. What could we see? Well, of course, we can see the flamingos where they are, those fabulous flamingos in the lake. How do we feel? Well, we've spoken about a little bit about Charlie's emotions and the nasty smile spreading across the flamingo's beak. So yeah, the flamingos are feeling superior. Charlie's feeling a little bit on the outer, of course. And what can we hear? There's a bit of dialogue here. The flamingos being a bit stuck up, Charlie woohooing, and the flamingos sort of shooting him down. So I have done all the things that I wanted to do on my checklist.
All right, that's it, guys. We've got the two most exciting parts of our story on the first part of the conflict and the second part of the conflict. So here's when we have our first problem. There's a partial solution, and then it just gets worse. So poor old Charlie, by the end of the second part, he was feeling really alone, really isolated, and much worse off than he was when he was just hanging out with his friends and family who actually loved him. Now, I've done this really basically as I was writing down stuff. I was in my head, I was thinking of all these other cool little juicy details and writing techniques that I could do to really spice it up. But I restrained myself. I'm going to add that stuff in later when I go and do my typed up draft. But I think that's enough to go on now. So your homework, make sure that you've got both parts of your conflict completed. Make sure you are reading plenty. And I will see you next time for the resolution to our problem. So we're going to start going down Story Mountain and wrapping our final story up. Happy creating, guys. Happy reading, and I will see you next time.